I have went from starting out in Louisville, okay, already, moved to Indiana, New Albany, Indiana, moved back to Louisville, moved to my grandmother's, moved back to Jeffersonville, Indiana to start out school. I was there for like a month. And now I'm moving back to Louisville to live with my sister. This is 5 times already. Okay? Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm your girl Destiny, and today, you guys, this video will be a little bit different. We are conducting a story time, and this is going to be a story time that hits me differently than all of the content that I've done thus far, because this is when I was homeless in high school. It's what I'm going to be talking about. Now, my other story time, it definitely, played a big part in my life. It was a lot of healing that I had to get through in that process, but at the end of the day, this story still affects me to this day. And I feel like it will affect me for the rest of my life, because at the end of the day, when you go through certain things as a child and for me as a teenager, like at a very impressionable time, which was in high school and being homeless, moving around a lot, that affects me a lot. It affects the way that I work. It affects my drive. It affects my relationships and how I choose who I'm with, so I don't have to be in those situations anymore. It affects my hobbies, how I spend my money. It will affect me for the rest of my life. Now, I feel like it more so has in a positive way, because it keeps me driven. It keeps me motivated. But just know this story time will be a little bit different, okay? So if I don't seem like my normal bubbly self, it's not that, she's still here. It's just I'm trying to think of how to tell this story, how I can tell this without offending, my family that may, they might see things differently than me. They might take this the wrong way. But like I said, even in my other story time, this is my story to tell. And it's something that I feel like it will help myself and maybe help someone else that is dealing with that, because there are a lot of people that are in school, in high school, middle school. You never know what people are going through at home. And even in my relationship now, like when I tell him about certain things that I encountered as a kid, he's just like, oh my gosh, like I would have never guessed. Like we had class together and I was homeless during that class that we had together in high school, and he had no idea, would have never guessed. So at the end of the day, you never know what someone's going through at home. And for my family, just know this is my perspective. There might be certain things while I'm telling the story that you may have seen differently. You may have read into that differently, but it's my story. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't have to mean it'll be a bad thing. Like, there might be certain things that I see, like us moving around a lot. Like, I hated it. We weren't stable. It was, we had to start all over all the time. And, one of my siblings, they might take that like, hey, if we had moved around a lot, I might not be as social as I am now. Like, or I don't know, they could see it differently than I see it. So, I don't want to offend anybody. This is my perspective, okay? So, all right. And if I stop and I'm thinking a lot, I'm trying to think of how to say it. Just, I don't know. Bear with me. All right, so here we go. Now, today we are going to pretty much, I'm just going to talk about the backstory of my childhood leading up to me being in high school, because I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, but I ended up moving to Indiana at the tail end of middle school. So you kind of got to understand the beginning to understand the end, if that makes sense. And you may hear this whole story and not understand any of it at all. I don't know, because it can get confusing. It can get crazy. But I'm going to try to tell it to the best of my abilities, okay? All right, so I grew up in a house in Louisville. We were in housing. We were on Section 8. Like I said, there were 6 of us that grew up in the same household. We had the same mom and dad, okay? My dad had 3 kids before he got married to my mom. One of those kids, is a little questionable because their birthdays are pretty close to each other, the oldest, and, but anyway, so, but he had 3 kids prior to marrying my mom, and they ended up having 6 kids together. Okay. So we all grew up in that house together. Okay. We lived there for 13 years. Now that was good. It was, the most stable, I would say, that I was all throughout my 18 years, like before me becoming an adult, pretty much, because I would say it was consistent, but it still was a lot of months where, we didn't have lights. Our lights were cut off. There were still months where we didn't have water. Our water was cut off. And we had a lot of kids. There was a lot of us in that household. And you would think, because, we were on Section 8, so we were on like food stamps, WIC, things like that, that we would have been fine food-wise, but we didn't really have a lot of food in the house either, which now that I'm an adult, it's baffling to me because I know that we probably got all kinds of money for having all them kids, but we did not have a lot of food in the house, okay? So there were still things that we were dealing with when I lived there, but it wasn't to the extent of being homeless, okay? Now, luckily for us, my grandmother lived right around the corner from us. So like, say there was a time that our lights were off or our water was off, we could easily, just go to her house and, eat or take a shower, things like that. Things like that if we needed to. And thank God for her, because there were a lot of times that, I feel like that took a lot of, stress off of us being able to just go to her. And I enjoyed having that time where I could talk to her, spend time with her, vent to her, So, yeah. But, so we lived there up until I was about 13, 14, something like that. And, towards the tail end of living in that house, my parents, they started having their own like marital issues, I guess you could say. And it was starting to, like, we were starting to notice a lot more things, okay? Now, without going in depth on that, just know that because of their marital issues that they were having, they were like, let's start fresh, start all over. Ooh, new beginning. Like me and my siblings joke about a new beginning. That's what they used to call it. And they told us we were gonna move to Indiana. Now, when they told us that, we were like, whatever. Like, I always thought like, we're not moving from here. Like, for one, this is all I know. So I'm not even thinking like Indiana, like what? Like, and they would kind of like laugh about it when they talked to us about it. So I really didn't believe we were going to move to Indiana. So like, we never warned our friends, told anybody or anything like that. So there was just a day, from what I remember, I just came home from school and there was a moving truck. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, we're moving to Indiana. And I'm like, oh, y'all was for real? Like, So, and it's crazy because looking back on it, like I had a little boyfriend at that time in middle school, and like he still jokes with me to this day, like, you just up and moved on me, like disappeared. And I'm like, I didn't even know. Like, it sounds so crazy when I say it out loud. But anyway, so we ended up moving to New Albany, Indiana. And it was like, the house was nice that we moved into. So that was exciting. We got to go to our new schools, and it was a predominantly white school, not saying anything's wrong with that, but it was an adjustment, and but it was I was so shocked by how nice the school was. Like, it had a pool, they had a basketball team, like a really nice gym. They had a football team. That's what it was. Not the basketball team. They had a football team. We didn't have football teams in middle school in Louisville. So that was like, what? Like, the school, it was huge. It just looked really nice. The school lunch was good. Like, it was like, oh my gosh. But I still was very upset that we left because I was really close to my friends that we lived in that neighborhood with. So it was really like, it bothered me. But I will say, I remember like thinking these schools are nice, but coming home, my parents telling them like lunch was so good. But anyway, so we ended up going to the new schools, and we moved there at the end of my 8th grade year. Okay, so we were there from, I would say, about January-ish to the end of the school year, okay? Because we were only there for about 6 months. And at that time, they were still having problems. Like, I don't know why people feel like because you move away, your problems aren't gonna follow you, you know? But new beginning, you know, so we ended up moving to that house, and the problems continued, and my parents ended up splitting up. Now, when they split up, it's always for like a short period of time, okay? Like, it ain't like it's a year, 2 years. It's like a short period of time, okay? But anyway, they end up splitting up. And I just remember, it's like towards the last day of school, I found out that we were going to have to move from that house as well, okay? So we ended up moving out of that house, and that summer we ended up moving to my grandmother's house. We went to stay at her house for a couple months, and it was a full house over there. I just remember there was, like, my granny's house was that place that everybody always kind of went to when they needed somewhere to stay, and especially, I wouldn't even say us as my family, but especially like my parents, okay? Mostly my dad, but anyway, okay. So it was kind of a full house over there, and I just remember like hating being there because it was like a 1 bedroom, and it was so many people there. It's always all kinds of traffic in and out of there. But on the bright side, it was close to where all my friends were. So that was the good thing. You know, it was like I got to spend something with my friends. Okay? So when school was about to start back, we kind of had to make a decision. Like, okay, so what are we going to do? You know, school is starting soon. So I was going to be starting high school. So I ended up moving to live with my brother and his fiance at the time. It was either his girlfriend or his fiance. They had just had a daughter. And me, my mom, my brother, his family, we were all living with him and his friend, okay? In Jeff, okay? So I ended up going to Jeffersonville High School for like a month, something like that. Like, and that was like interesting. Like, it was, okay, new school, here we go. Starting out high school in a whole new school. I don't know nobody, not one person, like, at all. So that was like annoying. And started school, and because there were so many people living in that household, the people where we were, the apartment complex, found out that all those people were staying there, and we ended up getting kicked out of that place. So we had to move from there to go live with my sister, okay, who lives in Louisville. So I have went from starting out in Louisville, okay, already, moved to Indiana, New Albany, Indiana, moved back to Louisville, moved to my grandmother's, moved back to Jeffersonville, Indiana to start out school. Was there for like a month. And now I'm moving back to Louisville to live with my sister. She's 5 times already. Okay? Okay. So we went to live with my sister, and I went to go to Western High School, which is where my brother coaches basketball at now. Good job, brother. Boys basketball. Go Western Warriors. But I went there they had trimesters. Like, you know how people typically have 2 different semesters? They had trimesters. They must have known I was just trying out schools. Try this school, try that school. I don't know. But I went to go to Western, and it was me, my sister, you know, she had just had a kid, like she had a baby and just had a baby, and then she was pregnant at the time. And my mama, my little brother, all in a 1-bedroom apartment, okay? So we all stayed there for about, I'd say 3 months, something like that. I don't remember going to Western that long, but for some reason we had to move out of there. And I think she went to go move with her. She was pregnant, moved with her man, you know, and it was a lot. And looking back on it, like, I was upset with my siblings. Like, I felt like whenever they would have their own, they had life that they needed to live, and we would kind of have to go live somewhere else. But at that time, I would be like upset, like, okay, here we go again, you know, kind of thing. I ended up going to move with my grandmother in Louisville, in Newburgh, and Newburgh, Norfolk area. And me and my little brother would literally catch the TARC, the city bus, the TARC, from Norfolk, downtown to Shively to go to school. So we had to get up at like 5 in the morning, I believe, just to make it to school, just to make it to our bus stop. And that took us to our bus stop to take us to school. Like, it was a headache, okay? So we ended up going to live with my granny, and that was it. It was annoying at the time, but looking back on it, I appreciate the fact that I got to live with her, because, you know, I got to cook with her. You know, she would tell me all kinds of stories about our family and things that was going on. She was super sweet, but she was crazy. Like, she would cuss us out at any moment. Like, but, you know, I was so grateful to have that time with my grandmother, because I learned a lot living with her, like how to take care of your household, you know, how to cook certain stuff, you know, just, yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to get us up to a point where I was at New Albany, okay? So I was living with my grandmother for, I would say, about a month or two then, and it was about to be Christmas break, and we finished out our school years where we were going at that time. So I was going to Western, and my brother was going to some school out in Shively, and we finished out up till Christmas break. And then my parents finally got approved for housing in New Albany, so we were moving back to Indiana, back to New Albany, okay? So, and we were literally starting all over. We lost everything in storage. So we lost clothes, furniture, pictures, like everything, you know. And so we moved back to New Albany with nothing. We literally, like, I remember sleeping on the floor, like, had nothing, completely started all over. The only clothes that I had was the clothes that I could fit in my bags. Like, it was a lot. And I'm going to kind of stop it there. But at the end of the day, I feel like how I said before, these things that we went through affected me and how I am today, because at the end of the day, that's why I'm like, I'm always trying to take pictures all the time. Like, I don't want to forget any memories, because, you know, us losing all of our stuff and pictures in storage, like, I never realized how much that, like, affected why I am the way I am, because I'm always like, no, you know, like, we gotta be able to remember these moments. I want to be able to look back on these moments. Like, you know, I love pictures, having pictures, being able to go back and look at, you know, memories and things that I've done, places I've been. Like, I'm a hoarder now, like, when it comes to clothes and shoes, because I'm scared that, you know, I'm not gonna have stuff. Like, I've had to start all over, and, you know, and especially when it comes to moving and having a man that is going to take care of my household, that is very big for me, because I feel like your head of the house has to lead your house. They have to take care, provide, protect your family and your household. And I'm very picky about who I'm with and who I'm dealing with, because I don't ever want my kids to have, future kids, to have to experience the things that I experienced, to have to be hungry, to have lights off, water off. You know, I never want them to have to endure the things that I did. And for a while, like as a teenager, I was very resentful towards my parents, because I felt like it was their fault that we were dealing with all that, which in a sense it was. But you know, I definitely held a lot of animosity towards them. But life happens, things happen. As an adult, I understand that more now, but it definitely it was a lot having to do all that moving. It made me feel like I was always like in the way, like I didn't want to be a burden on anybody. Like even now, I don't like feeling like I'm being a burden on anybody. Like I don't ask for help a lot because I don't want to feel that way. Like it's crazy. Like it was a lot, y'all. And this is just me now leading up to my high school years, because like at this point, by the time we got back to New Albany, that last move for a while, it was we were there for about, I'd say, a year and a half once we moved to housing in New Albany. So I'm gonna pretty much stop it right there, because now because the next episode, series, video, whatever, the next video, we will discuss, you know, my me pretty much kind of meeting X, I guess you could say, getting my first job, moving in with his family, and how that was, getting my own apartment in high school, you know, why I had to get my own apartment in high school, things like that. Getting my job at McDonald's, you know, moving up at McDonald's. So it'll be a lot. So y'all just bear with me, stay with me on this story. But I think that it's big for people to hear, you know, my story, my testimony, because at the end of the day, I do feel like I live a very comfortable life now. You know, I got a good job that has taken care of me all these years, and I think I want to let people know that, you know, just because you don't have a good start, you don't have a good just a good head start in life, you can still come out of that, you know. And there are still a lot of things that I still want to accomplish and need to accomplish, but I do feel like I don't look like what I've been through, and I get that a lot, and I need to let it be known that, you know, it wasn't an easy journey getting here. So we're just gonna end it there today, you guys. But remember, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, thumbs up like button down below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell and cut on your push notifications. Until the next time we talk about when I was homeless in high school. Bye.